Have you ever wondered if everything you've been through really mattered? The pain, the trials, the delays, the silent prayers in the dark. What if I told you, God saw it all? Nothing went unnoticed. Nothing was wasted. In fact, every moment has been woven into a divine plan tailored specifically for you. You're not just here to survive what you've walked through, you're here to rise because of it. In today's message, you'll discover that the battles you've faced were not random. They were refining. Every setback, every season of waiting, every act of quiet obedience has been preparing you for a divine shift. And now, that moment is closer than you think. This video is your confirmation that your life has been marked with purpose, not pain alone. That the detours were directions. That what felt like delay was actually divine alignment. You've been chosen for something greater, and God is about to reveal just how intentional He's been with your journey. We're diving deep into the beauty of transformation, identity, and spiritual growth, not just for your benefit, but for the lives your calling is meant to impact. Because you're not just called to receive blessing, you're called to carry it forward. So stay with me to the end, because what we're about to uncover could be the key to unlocking everything you've been praying for. If you haven't already, subscribe to Spiritual Journals and turn on your notifications so you never miss a message that aligns you with your divine purpose. Thank you for being here. Your breakthrough is closer than you think. Let's step into it together. Your journey has been seen and ordained. You may not have noticed it, but God has been tracking every step of your journey. Not a single tear fell unnoticed. Not a single silent prayer escaped His hearing. Every moment of endurance, every time you chose kindness when bitterness seemed easier, every silent sacrifice made behind closed doors, He saw it all. Psalm 139 verse 3 assures us, "You discern my going out and my lying down, you are familiar with all my ways." That means even the unspoken pain and private perseverance were never hidden from His sight. Your journey is not random. It is not a collection of disconnected moments or meaningless struggles. Your life has been carefully authored by the one who knew you before you were formed in your mother's womb. The detours, the delays, the heartbreaks, they weren't signs of abandonment. They were part of your assignment. They were moments God used to shape, refine, and prepare you for something far greater than you could imagine. There were days you thought you were forgotten. Nights when the silence felt unbearable. Seasons where your prayers echoed back to you unanswered. But the truth is, you were never alone. The silence was sacred. God was closer than you realized, working in the background, rearranging pieces you couldn't see yet. Nothing about your story is wasted. Joseph's story reminds us of this truth. Betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, imprisoned unfairly, yet through it all, God was aligning every hardship to position him for purpose. In Genesis 50 verse 20, Joseph says to his brothers, "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good." What you thought was a setback was actually a setup. The broken moments you've lived through have now become the very soil from which your testimony will grow. Every act of forgiveness, every time you chose to keep going when giving up seemed easier, every time you chose faith over fear, those were not just moments of strength. They were declarations of purpose. Heaven saw them. And heaven will honor them. You see, you weren't just surviving. You were sowing. Sowing seeds of faith, seeds of character, seeds of obedience. And now, God is preparing the harvest. Galatians 6 verse 9 reminds us, "Let us not grow weary in doing good, for in due season, we will reap, if we do not give up." Your due season is approaching. The struggle wasn't to destroy you, it was to distinguish you. Let this truth settle in your spirit. Your experiences were not accidents, they were divine appointments. That delay in your career, God used it to build patience. That friendship that ended, God used it to teach discernment. That unexpected closed door, God used it to guide you to a better one. Romans 8 verse 28 is still true, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who are called according to His purpose. Even the parts of your story that you're not proud of, your failures, your regrets, your past, God can redeem and repurpose. The enemy tried to convince you that your mistakes disqualified you, but God's grace rewrites everything. What you thought disqualified you, God is using as a testimony to bless others and glorify Him. Now, it's time to shift your perspective. Begin to view your journey as preparation, not punishment. See every scar as a sign of survival and every valley as a place where you learn to hear God's voice more clearly. When David faced Goliath, he didn't come with a sword, he came with history. He said, "The Lord who delivered me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will deliver me from the hand of this Philistine." 1 Samuel 17 verse 37. Your past victories are your present power. One practical way to embrace this truth is to create a faith map. Take time to reflect and write down key moments in your life where God came through, even when it didn't look like it at the time. Revisit the seasons where you didn't know how you'd make it, but somehow you did. Let that map remind you, if He did it before, He'll do it again. Another fresh idea is to write a letter to your past self. Speak words of grace, truth, and hope to the version of you that was hurting. Let yourself see how far God has brought you. Then write a letter to your future self, a declaration of expectation and promise. Proclaim that you are ready for what God has ahead, that you believe in the divine design of your life. This is not the end of your story. It's the turning point. The pieces are coming together. What didn't make sense before is about to become clear. The waiting wasn't wasted. It was the rhythm before the breakthrough. The quiet before the crescendo. God's not just watching, He's orchestrating. And the music of your breakthrough is about to begin. If this message is speaking to your heart, I encourage you to respond in faith. Type in the comments, "God saw it all, now I'm ready for what's next." Let that be your declaration. Your surrender. Your yes to His plan. You're not just moving into a new season. You're stepping into something that has been prepared just for you. Doors are about to open. Healing is about to flow. Purpose is about to ignite. Not because of luck or chance, but because you've been seen, chosen, and ordained. So take a deep breath. Lift your head. And walk forward in faith. Your life is not a collection of broken pieces, it's a masterpiece in progress. The artist is still painting. And what he's creating in you is more beautiful than you can imagine. You are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are not behind. You are right where grace wants you. Your journey has been seen. Your path has been ordained. And your breakthrough is closer than you think. The path ahead has already been cleared. You've been climbing. You've been pressing forward, even when your feet were weary and the road ahead looked uncertain. You've faced resistance that felt bigger than you, obstacles that seemed immovable. But what if I told you this? What if the hardest part is already behind you? What if the very things that once blocked your way are already falling? Isaiah 45 verse 2 speaks to this very promise. "I will go before you and will level the mountains. I will break down gates of bronze and cut through bars of iron." God isn't just walking with you, He's ahead of you. He's preparing what you cannot see, clearing what you thought couldn't move, softening hearts you thought would never change, and unlocking doors that you couldn't open by yourself. You see, we often carry the weight of tomorrow as if it depends entirely on us. We stress, we strategize, we try to control outcomes with every ounce of our strength. But there comes a point in your spiritual growth when you realize, your future isn't something to fight for. It's something to walk into by faith. The truth is, God never meant for you to carry this journey alone. While you were battling what was in front of you, God was already preparing what's ahead. Your tears didn't delay the plan, they watered the ground. Your prayers didn't go unanswered, they were building the bridge you're about to walk across. This is not the season to force your way forward. This is the season to flow with the Spirit. The mountains you saw as barriers are being flattened. The strongholds that once intimidated you are beginning to crumble. Not because of your striving, but because of God's sovereignty. When the Israelites reached the edge of the promised land, they were told to follow the Ark of the Covenant, not run ahead of it. Joshua 3 verse 4 tells us, "Then you will know which way to go, since you have never been this way before. That's a word for you today. God is leading you into unfamiliar territory, but He's not sending you in blind. He's already mapped out the road. He's already fought the battles. Your role is to follow Him with boldness. This is a call to trust like never before. To shift from panic to peace. From striving to stepping. From hesitation to movement. The time for questioning whether you're ready is over. The path is clear, not because you're perfect, but because God is faithful. One powerful way to activate this truth is to begin your days with a prophetic declaration. Stand in front of your mirror and speak aloud, "Today I step into what God has already prepared for me. I won't fear the future, I will follow the path of favor." These words aren't magic. They're reminders. They help reframe your mind from worry to worship, from doubt to destiny. You can also begin practicing what I call faith walking. Take a walk in your neighborhood, in a park, or even around your home, and with every step, say silently or aloud, "The way is prepared. I will walk in it." It's a simple physical act that reinforces a powerful spiritual reality. You are not wandering, you are being led. The enemy will try to convince you that things will always be as hard as they've been. But the Spirit of God declares otherwise. Psalm 18 verse 29 says, "With your help I can advance against a troop, with my God I can scale a wall." That means what once looked like a wall will now look like a window. What once felt like resistance will now reveal release. But walking into what God has prepared requires one thing, your agreement. God can clear the path, but He will not drag you down it. He invites you to move, to rise, to believe again. This is the time to shake off fear and say, "Yes, Lord. I will go." Not because it's easy, but because it's already written. Think about Esther. Her path looked terrifying, uncertain, filled with risk. But behind the scenes, God had already given her favor with the king. What she feared was already resolved in the Spirit. The same is true for you. You don't know who God has already positioned to help you. You don't know what hearts have already been stirred to open the door for you. You don't know what walls have already been weakened by your past prayers. So instead of preparing to fight, prepare to receive. Prepare to see the hand of God clear the way before you, not through pressure, but through promise. Begin asking God each morning, "What do you want me to walk into today?" and then walk with expectation. Another way to keep this in front of you is to create a clear path journal. Write down every answered prayer, every unexpected opportunity, every moment of divine timing. When you see a door open, even a small one, write it down. This becomes your evidence when the enemy tries to make you doubt. You'll have written proof that God goes before you. And when fear tries to return, go back to Isaiah 45 verse 2. Read it aloud. Declare it over your home, your job, your relationships. Say, "God is going before me. Mountains are leveling. Doors are opening. I trust the way is already clear." Because it is. If this message resonates with your spirit, I invite you to speak faith over your journey. Type in the comments, "God has prepared my path, I'm ready to walk in it." Let that be your declaration of trust. Your act of agreement. Your public yes to His unseen plan. And remember this, your movement doesn't create the miracle. Your obedience reveals it. The breakthrough is not somewhere off in the distance. It's waiting at the next step of surrender. As you walk, you'll see what He has already made ready. You are not behind. You are not lost. You are not late. You are exactly where you need to be for what's about to unfold. So rise up. Trust boldly. And take that next step forward, not with fear, but with faith. The path ahead has already been cleared. Now it's your time to move. Embrace the shift, don't resist the change. Change is one of the most unsettling parts of life. It can feel like the ground beneath your feet is moving while you're expected to keep standing tall. Especially when you've lived in survival mode, when you've fought just to get through each day, change doesn't feel like a gift. It feels like a threat. But what if the very thing that feels uncomfortable right now is not your undoing, but your unfolding? In God's kingdom, transition isn't a punishment, it's preparation. That tension you're feeling, that discomfort, that restlessness deep in your soul. It's not danger. It's destiny in motion. Heaven is shifting things around you so that what's within you can rise. And your job in this sacred moment is simple: don't resist it. Embrace it. Hebrews 11 verse 8 speaks of Abraham's obedience. By faith Abraham obeyed when he was called to go out to a place he would later receive as his inheritance, and he went out, not knowing where he was going. That verse holds so much power. Abraham didn't need the full map, he just needed the voice of God. He didn't have all the answers, he just trusted the one who did. Right now, you might be facing a change that scares you. Maybe God is shifting relationships, relocating your calling, or nudging you into unfamiliar territory. It's tempting to grip what's known, even if it's broken, simply because it feels safe. But your comfort zone was never meant to become your permanent home. It was a season, not a sentence. God doesn't ask you to understand everything. He asks you to trust Him in everything. The shift you're experiencing is not without purpose. It's making room for something bigger, something holier, something that couldn't fit into the old structure. Think of the Israelites when they left Egypt. For generations, they had known nothing but slavery. When God delivered them, He didn't just take them out of Egypt, He had to get Egypt out of them. That required change. It required wilderness. It required walking forward when the future was unfamiliar. But the promised land was on the other side of that unknown. Yours is too. Change tests what you believe. It stretches your trust. It exposes what you've built on, fear or faith. But it also refines your character, reawakens your vision, and reveals God's hand in new ways. Romans 12 verse 2 calls us to be transformed by the renewing of our minds. That's not a one-time shift, it's a lifestyle of surrendering to God's ongoing work in us. Sometimes God has to unsettle you to position you. He loves you too much to let you stay stuck in systems that no longer serve your purpose. The pruning may hurt, but it always precedes new growth. And if you're in a season where God is cutting away what no longer fits, take heart. The fruit is coming. To navigate seasons of change with spiritual strength, create a faith-forward journal. Every time you feel fear or doubt about the transition you're in, write a line that starts with, "By faith, I will," fill in the blank with whatever step God is calling you to take. By faith, I will leave this job. By faith, I will forgive. By faith, I will stay when it's easier to walk away. This practice realigns your focus, not on what you're losing, but on who you're becoming. Another fresh perspective is to look at change as an invitation, not an interruption. Every divine shift is an open door to a new encounter with God. Think about Peter stepping out of the boat in Matthew 14. The storm didn't stop, but Peter still walked on water. The miracle happened in the middle of movement. And you? You're being called to move too. Don't let pressure paralyze you. Don't let the voice of fear drown out the whisper of the Spirit. Change doesn't come to destroy, it comes to develop. The cocoon may feel like confinement, but it's creating the wings. The doubts will come. The enemy will try to magnify every uncertainty. But hold on to this truth: God does not call you to step into the unknown without also going before you. Deuteronomy 31 verse 8 promises, "The Lord Himself goes before you and will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you." On the other side of this shift is a version of you that's freer, bolder, wiser, more anointed. What's waiting isn't just different, it's divine. But you must go through it, not around it. Embrace the wilderness. Lean into the process. Trust the journey even when the destination isn't fully visible. Change has a way of revealing hidden strengths. It pulls out gifts that were dormant, compassion that was buried, courage you didn't know you had. You are not who you were before this season started, and that's a good thing. Transformation is taking place. And it's beautiful. Take this moment to declare your trust. Write a prayer. Speak it aloud. Tell God, I don't know what the future looks like, but I know you're in it. I trust you more than I trust my comfort. I say yes to the shift. Yes to the change. Yes to what you're building through me. If this word is confirming something in your spirit, type in the comments, God, I embrace the shift. I trust your plan for my life. Let it be your declaration of surrender and strength. Let it mark this moment as the day you stopped resisting and started rising. You're not being torn down, you're being rebuilt. You're not being punished, you're being positioned. You're not losing, you're transitioning into more. Don't fear the unfamiliar. God is already there. And His plans for you are still good. Step boldly. Move freely. Embrace the shift, because what's ahead of you is far greater than what's behind you. And God is in the change. Your faithfulness has been recorded, now comes the reward. You may not have realized it, but heaven has been watching. Every moment you gave in love, every time you forgave when bitterness would have been easier, every private act of kindness when no one was there to applaud you, God saw it. You weren't just surviving in the shadows, you were planting seeds in secret. And now, those seeds are beginning to break through the soil. What was hidden is about to be honored. What was sown in pain is about to bloom in power. Galatians 6 verse 9 gives us this life-giving encouragement. Let us not grow weary in doing good, for in due season we will reap, if we do not give up. You've been faithful in the unseen. You kept showing up, kept giving, kept praying, kept loving, even when it cost you everything. And now, your due season is here. Sometimes the hardest part of doing good is that it often goes unnoticed. The world doesn't always reward quiet faithfulness. But God does. He sees what no one else sees. Hebrews 6 verse 10 says, God is not unjust, He will not forget your work and the love you have shown Him as you have helped His people and continue to help them. That means not one moment of goodness is wasted. Not one drop of sacrifice is lost. You've been storing up treasures in heaven, and now, God is bringing some of that reward to earth. The shift is already happening. You may not have seen the full fruit yet, but you can feel it, can't you? That internal stirring, that quiet reassurance that change is near. That's the Spirit letting you know, the blessing is on the way. God has been keeping record, not with judgment, but with joy. He has watched your kindness toward those who couldn't repay you. He saw you give when it wasn't convenient. He saw you hold your tongue when you could have spoken in anger. He noticed how you put others first and stayed faithful when it felt like no one was watching. Heaven noticed. And now heaven is responding. The world keeps score by performance. But God keeps record by the heart. He counts the offerings that were painful to give. He remembers the moments you whispered prayers over others while your own heart was breaking. That is what delights Him. That is what moves Him. David reminds us of this truth in Psalm 56 verse 8, when he says to God, You have kept count of my tossings, put my tears in your bottle. Are they not in your book? Your tears were not in vain. Your perseverance was not pointless. God saw. God remembered. And now God is rewarding. Maybe you've walked through a long season of sowing, where all you did was give, pour out, serve, and believe. And perhaps you wondered if it would ever come back to you. But the truth of God's word is this: when you sow in the Spirit, you will reap in the Spirit. And the harvest doesn't come from man, it comes from the hand of God. This is not just any harvest. This is a divine reward. A reward that touches every area of your life. Joy is returning. Provision is multiplying. Peace is expanding. Relationships are being restored. Opportunities are being released. Doors that were once shut are opening with divine ease. Because you stayed faithful. Because you didn't give up. The reward of God is not always flashy, but it is always full. Full of depth. Full of peace. Full of life. Sometimes the reward comes as a new door. Sometimes it's a new strength in your soul. Sometimes it's a divine connection or an unexpected provision. Sometimes it's a calm you never knew you could have. Whatever form it takes, you'll know this: it was worth the wait. So what do you do now? You continue. You praise. You position yourself to receive. Because harvest is not passive, it's a participation. Now is the time to walk in expectation. Now is the time to speak with gratitude. Now is the time to step boldly into rooms that God is calling you into. A beautiful way to posture your heart for this season is to create a faithfulness journal. Each day, write down something you did that honored God, no matter how small. And beside it, write a gratitude note for something He's doing in return. It builds awareness. It builds worship. It prepares your spirit to see how closely He's working in your life. Another fresh idea is to write a letter to your past self, the version of you who kept going when it would have been easier to quit. Thank that version of yourself for staying in the fight. For showing up when it hurt. For praying when nothing seemed to change. You'll start to see just how far God has brought you, and how near your reward truly is. Friend, the enemy wants you to believe that faithfulness is forgotten. But heaven disagrees. Heaven is responding. And God's reward is never late. He shows up in due season, not a moment too soon, not a moment too late. This is your moment. This is the start of your reaping. Get ready for the blessings to come, not just in the tangible, but in the spiritual. Get ready to be overwhelmed by God's goodness. Because you have been faithful. And now, He is about to show you what that faithfulness has been building all along. If this word speaks to your heart, type in the comments, "I receive the reward of my faithfulness." Let that be your declaration of trust, your open hand to the blessing, your yes to the harvest. You didn't just survive, you sowed. You didn't just endure, you believed. And now the heavens are opening, the blessings are falling, and your heart is being renewed. This is your due season. Walk in it with boldness. Receive it with joy. And give God all the glory. You are chosen for something greater. You are not here by accident. You are not just a face in the crowd or a voice lost in the noise. You are chosen, handpicked by God, not just for blessing, but for purpose. You've been set apart for something greater than comfort, greater than status, greater than survival. You were created to carry light into darkness, to bring healing into broken places, and to awaken purpose where it's been forgotten. 1 Peter 2 verse 9 speaks it plainly: you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession, that you may declare the praises of Him who called you out of darkness into His wonderful light. That declaration isn't reserved for the perfect, the polished, or the powerful. It's for the surrendered. For the ones who've walked through the fire and come out carrying faith instead of bitterness. You've endured for a reason. Every trial, every disappointment, every battle, it wasn't to break you. It was to build you. God wasn't punishing you. He was preparing you to carry something greater than you ever imagined. You've been refined not just for your own sake, but so that the overflow of God's grace in your life could touch others. You are not just blessed to receive, you are blessed to release. Your life is a vessel. Your story is a testimony. Your journey is a bridge to someone else's breakthrough. The strength you carry now is not just the result of personal growth, but the foundation for divine impact. You've been given a mantle. You carry an assignment. And what God is about to pour through you is going to change everything around you. Too often we think of purpose as something we chase. But purpose isn't about striving, it's about surrender. It's not about doing more. It's about becoming more of who God already created you to be. You are chosen for such a time as this. Not to shrink back, but to rise. Not to doubt, but to declare. Think of Esther. A young woman placed in a palace not just for her benefit, but for her people's survival. She didn't seek the crown. She was chosen for it. And when the moment came to speak up and stand out, she didn't run from her assignment, she stepped into it. Mordecai's words still ring true today: Who knows but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this? Esther 4 verse 14. You, too, have been positioned. You may not feel ready. You may not feel worthy. But God doesn't call the qualified, He qualifies the called. And you are called. Not to live in fear. Not to stay hidden. But to rise in courage and let your life be a light that points back to Him. The enemy has tried to convince you that you're disqualified, that your past mistakes have made you unusable, that your quiet obedience doesn't matter. But the truth is, your pain has become your platform. Your humility has become your strength. And your private victories are now equipping you for public influence. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs more people who have been shaped by God in the secret place. People who have loved when it was hard, given when it hurt, and believed when it didn't make sense. That's you. You are evidence that God still chooses ordinary people to do extraordinary things. One way to embrace this truth is to start each day with a chosen confession. Look in the mirror and say, I am chosen. I am called. I am covered. I am commissioned to carry God's light into every space I walk into. When you speak it aloud, your spirit begins to agree with it, and agreement is powerful. You can also create a purpose wall. It doesn't have to be complicated. Choose a space where you write down scripture, promises, or prophetic words spoken over your life. Let it become a visual altar of remembrance, a reminder that God has marked your life with meaning. The enemy fears a believer who knows their purpose. When you embrace your calling, you become dangerous to darkness. Because you're not just showing up, you're shifting atmospheres. You're not just surviving, you're releasing heaven. Jesus said in John 15 verse 16, You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you so that you might go and bear fruit, fruit that will last. That means your impact won't be fleeting. It will be eternal. The love you show, the lives you touch, the prayers you pray, they echo in heaven. And here's the beautiful part, what God wants to do through you, He also wants to do with you. You're not carrying this mantle alone. You're walking with the one who called you. He goes before you, walks beside you, and strengthens you from within. Philippians 1 verse 6 assures us that, He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. If you've ever doubted your worth or questioned your purpose, let today be the day that shifts. God doesn't make mistakes. He didn't overlook you. He didn't choose someone else instead of you. You are His vessel, His messenger, His ambassador. And He's getting ready to use you in ways that will surprise even you. So lift your head. Open your heart. And get ready, not just for what's coming to you, but for what's about to flow through you. Because the world needs what's inside of you. The kingdom is calling. And your yes is the only thing missing. If this message is speaking to your spirit, type in the comments, I am chosen for something greater. Let that be your declaration of identity and purpose. Your open door to divine assignment. You're not just blessed, you're chosen. You're not just equipped, you're anointed. You're not just walking, you're being sent. This is your season to rise. This is your moment to shine. Because you've been chosen for something greater. And God is just getting started. Step forward, your breakthrough is here. You've waited. You've trusted. You've endured. And now, it's time to rise. Everything you've walked through has been leading you to this moment. You're not standing on the edge of uncertainty. You're standing on the threshold of destiny. The battles you thought would break you have only built you. The prayers you thought went unanswered were planting seeds for the harvest that's now beginning to bloom. Let's seal this moment in faith. Pray with me, God, I receive your timing. I release the fear, the doubt, the delay. I embrace the shift, the blessing, and the purpose. Thank you for preparing the path. Thank you for choosing me. I walk forward in faith. If that prayer resonated in your spirit, type in the comments, I'm stepping into my breakthrough. Let that be your public declaration. Speak it, believe it, and walk it out, because heaven responds to bold faith. If this message has stirred something in you, like this video and share it with someone who needs a reminder that their story isn't over, it's about to get good. Subscribe to Spiritual Journals and become part of a growing family committed to bold faith and lasting spiritual growth. And don't forget to turn on notifications, so you never miss a word that could shift your season. Now, may the God who saw your struggle, held your heart, and heard your cries, crown you with strength, peace, and unshakable purpose. Your future is ready. Your moment is now. Step boldly. You're not just moving forward, you're stepping into everything God already prepared for you. This is just the beginning.